Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, so we can put the right information out there that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I probably fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. All right, we are back in the studio, probably for about another week, actually, and then I'm going to be kind of traveling a bunch over that 30-day stretch there from the end of September through October. So the Freight Coach Roadshow will be in full effect out there, ladies and gentlemen. But, before we go any further, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers. And ironically, we all like making money on top of that, because that's what you get with VHub. You guys can go on there, vhubapp.com, check out where their repositionings are, and you get paid to move these trailers. That's right. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. So what they're working on right now, you guys, is they have Lafayette, Indiana, going down to Lake City, Florida, and you get $420 US to move that. They have San Bernardino, California, going out to Columbus, Ohio, and you get $990 US to do that. They have Lebanon in Illinois. So this is a reefer, going up to Fridley, Minnesota, and you get $450 Canadian on that. And then they also have Evansville, Wisconsin, going to Mississauga, Ontario, and you get $500 Canadian for that one. And then finally, you guys, they have Parkland, Florida, going to Milton, Ontario, and you get 1,000 Canadian to do that. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My man, Zach Lonergan, and my friend, Stacey Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Steven Title, what is up, my man? Good morning, gang. He says, Corey Buchan, happy hump day. Good morning to you. Cole, what is up? Thanks for tuning in, my man. Nick Erdman, good morning. Let's go. You are right. Bill McIntyre, good morning, everyone, he says. And it looks like LinkedIn is back up and running today. I had heard yesterday during the live show that there were some issues out there with the stream on that. But yeah, let's see here. What can we, give me just one second here. I lost my screen for a second. There we go. We are good. It is, yeah, you're right. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. I want to talk about Billy Lake. What's up, man? Let's go. Good morning to you, sir. I want to talk about the importance of, doing different. I was up, yesterday I was in Northern Arizona. I drove up Monday to meet up with some prospects yesterday, and it just feels good getting out there and talking with people, right? Like and seeing people in person, I think that's the great separator out there in a day where everyone's trying to automate everything. And again, I'm a fan of automation. I want to be very, very abundantly clear. I think 95% of my tasks every single day should be automated. But what shouldn't be automated, though, is that human-to-human interaction, that conversation with a prospect or a driver, and just putting the human element of this business back into it, right? And that's what I got to experience yesterday. Going to I went and visited 3 different facilities. Got to see all of their places. I did a plant tour at one of them. There was like an open view out there, so I kind of got a good feel for it and everything. And seeing how those operations work and really being able to talk to the prospect, right? Because I think like a lot of people want to automate the sales process, right? They want to send the automated DMs and the automated emails. I mean, I get fucking solicited for freight, right? For every day about having people, help me, get set up to move my freight for me. It's like, I have nothing to do with it. And I think that that is such a direct correlation to how you will possibly perform as a service provider, right? Like, A, who are you even reaching out to? Why are you reaching out to them? And then on top of that, are you prepared for when you get that conversation, right? Like I always have my checklist. Fortunately, I've been on a bunch of site visits. I've seen a bunch of facilities out there in my career. I know what to ask when I'm going in there, and I can get a feel for the individual when I'm sitting across them to kind of, I don't want to say steer the conversation, but like you get such a more full understanding of the wants and the needs when you're sitting across from somebody. And I think that if you're out there and you're just trying to hit an arbitrary, 100 call a day number, and it's like, are you having effective conversations, right? Like I personally think that those 3 visits that I went on yesterday are worth 1,000 calls. I will be bold with that. I will be bold and say that those 3 site visits were worth more than 1,000 cold calls out there. Because in my opinion, I sat down, I got to feel, get a feel for the organization. And you know what? I got to establish an actual like starting of a relationship. I don't want to say a relationship yet because it was only one real conversation with them, and there's a lot more steps that kind of come along with it. But I probably, and you can do this in your community too, wherever you're located across the United States. Get out there and try and meet people locally. Get out there and just have different conversations with people, because I think that the more you do that, the more confident you're going to get in your abilities, right? And then the more you do that, the more it will lead to better conversations. The more and more that you talk to different prospects and stuff. But stop trying to dehumanize things. I think bring that back. Get out there and meet people if you can. Not everybody's going to be willing to have you come on site, and that's fine, right? Like I get rejections on that as well, but I've found a lot more success in just offering to come on site, because all it is, it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of resources, right? Gas, hotel room, and some food. That's really all it boiled down to. And then you don't need to do that, right? Like I chose to drive up the night before and everything. But you don't need to do that, right? If you're just going to be local and stuff, just do a couple of drop-offs. And it's not, it's so much more beneficial to do that, because that's really all it takes, right? And you're going to invest that time one way or another, right? You're going to invest that time in thinking about doing the work, or you can invest the time in actually doing the work and the resources that are out there. Because it's always going to be worth it, right? No matter what, it's always going to be worth it. And then again, that's something that you're truly doing, what most people aren't willing to do. Most people aren't willing to do that at all. You know what I mean? And then it's like when you go out there, be prepared when you're going into this. And even if you like, it's just like your calls, right? Go into there with an open mind. If you're out on the road traveling, don't go to the hotel bar till fucking 2 a.m. Be fresh, go to bed early, be prepared for those meetings, get out there and have it's just such a difference, right? Like I'm on like cloud fucking 10 after yesterday, because just like everybody, I'm a human being. I go through the exact same emotions of all the rejections and everything else that come along with it. And it's a process, right? You're not just going to snap your fingers and have all the freight in the world. You got to build up to it. And every single time, every conversation you have, be prepared, go in there and just have, I just think that it's such a difference when you're going in there with a clear head, a clear mind, and that confidence factor comes in, right? That's what's most important, that confidence factor, because right? In your abilities, this is a way for you to display them. So for me, get out there and just visit as many people as you possibly can, wherever you're located. You don't have to go, fly anywhere if you can't afford it or anything else. Wherever you're living out there, whether you're here in Phoenix with me, or you're in fucking Kansas or wherever, there are shippers in that area, and you should get out and talk to as many people as possible, because I think people are always going to want that human to human interaction over the digital touch any day when it comes to sales. They're always going to want that human to human interaction. And I think that also helps you become a better transportation provider as well, when you see their facility and then you're able to sell it to your carrier partners all that more effectively out there. So that's my little thing that's what I did yesterday. I got out there and I visited some people, and I would highly, highly, highly encourage all of you to get out there and visit people as well. Let me see here. We got Kenneth Bell. What is up? Top of the morning, sir. Louis Mantano. What's up, brother? Ibby, good morning to you. Tracy St. Clair watching over on YouTube. Stephen Titles has been fortunate for 5 years to visit clients in many states face-to-face. It's a game changer for his business. I think it's a game changer for any business. I truly do. Even if you are selling that, a technology solution and stuff out there, get out there and whether you're at a trade show and stuff like that, invest in that, you guys. It is an investment, right? Especially if you're bootstrapping everything, it is an investment. But if you're going to look at, do I spend $500 to go, or do I invest $500 to go visit some potential prospects, or do I invest $500 on a Google ad? My personal perspective, $500 personal for a face-to-face visit will always be a greater ROI. That's just my opinion on it, though, you guys. So take that for what it is worth. Yeah. And then also daily recap on the fuel. And we're going to actually talk about that. And that's going to be the first article we are going to break down today, you guys, is the rising cost of fuel. And that is something to take into consideration here, because the fuel is increasing, and we need to be very much aware of that. The national average is, I get this from the EIA, you guys, but it's up to $4.63 a gallon. It's up 10 cents a gallon nationwide out there right now. And, for my opinion, hold on one second. I got to reply to a customer here quick, you guys, because again, I'm out here making this stuff happen with you. I'm building up my brokerage. I'm making stuff happen. So just give me 1 second and we'll get into the article. Perfect. Got hit up for a quote. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Getting that quote. You want to know how I'm going to quote that load? Green screens. All right. Not only are they a partner on the show here, they're a partner inside of my brokerage. And I literally use green screens to price everything. The shipment we picked up yesterday, one through green screens. The shipment I'm going to quote as soon as I'm done with this show here, going to be one through green screens, you guys. Greenscreens.ai/the-freight-coach. Hit them up. I literally use them every single day. And I know my freight volume is increasing all the time. And that's a direct correlation in having the most accurate pricing out there. And that's what green screens delivers for you. Let me see. First article, JOC.com. Rising fuel costs driving U.S. LTL truckload costs higher. This one was written by Bill Cassidy, my man over there at JOC. A 20% increase in the price of diesel fuel at the pump over the past 3 months is putting pressure on U.S. trucking costs, and shippers can expect to see their transportation costs creep higher this fall amid seasonal freight demand and a forecast for higher fuel prices and surcharges. So there's obviously, there's some customers out there that, and this is more of the RFP style customers and contracted rates that they have you bid out their freight on a line haul plus fuel. Again, there's another, I forget it off the top of my head, that you can see what the national average is. Again, if you're out there quoting your line haul. So just say, for example, here's just, if you have a load that you think is going to pay $1,000, like you want to quote your customer $1,000 on it. Again, this is all arbitrary. This is all simple math. Forgive me. I went to public school. Okay. So if you're doing a load that pays, you want to quote your customer $1,000, but they need a line haul on that. So say the shipment is going to be 300 miles on it, and fuel for the national average is at 55 cents a mile out there. So you have a 300-mile shipment and it's at 55 cents. So you times that by 0.55, and that's $165 in fuel. So you take $1,000 and you subtract $165 from that. And then that $835 is your line haul rate. Okay. So then you add in that $165 to get you $1,000. So you're going to quote them $835 line haul, $165 in fuel, and that gets you $1,000 on that. So that's how you break out fuel. And now that is, again, it's an arbitrary example out there. It obviously depends on the miles. That fuel amount that I used is an arbitrary number right now because I know that it's higher than that, but that's just a little insight into how some of those things get factored in. Rising fuel prices affect different carriers in different ways, says Jeff Music, who's the chief marketing officer at Pitt, Ohio. The more sustainable you are as a carrier, the less emissions, the less impact fuel has on your network than someone else's. We think our sustainability efforts are muting some of the impacts of rising fuel costs, he added out there. The average retail price for diesel over the last week was $4.63 a gallon. According, hey, they use it from the EIA too. Cool. That's up 9 cents from the prior week. And then the average price in California was $6.19, up 22 cents over week out there. And then from July to August, the average fuel tracked by DAT rose 8 cents to 52 cents per mile, an 18.2% gain. The surcharge rose 12 cents a mile, or a 28% for contract and spot market carriers from June through September, reaching 55 cents per mile, according to DAT. Shippers can't control carriers' fuel surcharges, although many shippers build their own fuel surcharges into contracts, and then they can control how they ship LTL and truckload freight. And that is one thing to keep in mind. There isn't a set fuel surcharge across the board. It is very dependent on the shipper. And then we have to be better at packaging the freight, not only end consumer packaging, but shrink wrapping and communicating with the carrier, said Jeannie Carpenter, a senior director of global logistics at Jabil. The company has had to adjust its U.S. LTL network following the late July collapse of Yellow. And LTL represents a small portion of their transportation spend, but the company, which has 30 global manufacturing locations, does extensive business with freight forwarders that use LTL. And then Yellow took a lot of ugly freight that other LTL carriers can't or won't handle. She said oversized freight, for example, but it takes a great deal of efficiency to counter a 20% increase in fuel pricing. Again, why do I bring this article up? This is a massive opportunity out there. When you look at something, again, that right there, Yellow took a lot of ugly freight that other LTL carriers can't or won't handle. Oversized freight, for example. So think about that. That's another way for you to go in there, whether it's a box truck or a partial or anything like that. If you can talk to your customer, if it's only if it's 18 feet of trailer space or 12 feet or whatever that is, and it's oversized pallets that aren't your prototypical LTL move, that is where you can go in and sell on that solution. You guys, you need to look at that and think creative in these moments, right? Because these opportunities don't come about all that often. And that's another way. Because again, if you're looking at, is there a customer out there that's shipping out dedicated trucks that are, 60% full or 30%, whatever that number looks like? As a sales rep, are you looking at it as, oh, I'm making so much money off of this? Or are you looking at it as, hey, why don't we combine these shipments to make it into a 1-pick, 2-drop load, send out 1 full truckload and do that? I would definitely recommend that if you're in there talking to your prospects. The biggest impact, it goes on to say, from fuel prices has been in the LTL sector. Again, that it rose 4.4%, the distance, and then the PPI indexes are based on all-inclusive shipper paid selling prices that include fuel surcharges. They indicate rising fuel costs that are out there. And once you remove diesel from the equation, the change in August is 1.13%. This is certainly positive, but nothing like the 4.4% headline figure. Miller's analysis has fuel costs and surcharges accounting for about 75% of that 4.4% increase that was out there. The August rise in the LTL PPI seems low after the collapse of Yellow, which has pushed up LTL rates. But the PPI is an aggregate index based on industry level changes and volumes. Yellow accounted for 6.8% of all LTL shipments that were out there, and then shifting 7% to other trucking companies won't move an industry level aggregate that much. The smaller 1.2% rise in truckload PPI also may be attributed to higher fuel costs. And then increased volumes are also driving up LTL costs that are out there. And then this has to be having an impact. Pitt, Ohio's volume surged in August and again in September as shippers continue to shift freight formerly tendered from Yellow to new carriers, he had said out there. This article, obviously, JOC.com, rising fuel costs driving U.S. LTL truckload costs higher. And I think that this is going to be a major thing out there. I think that, unfortunately, with fuel rising, I'm hoping that the carriers, the small carriers that have made it this far in the shift, this isn't going to be any dagger out there, but it's definitely not going to help out. And this is another thing to look into. If you're a small trucking company and you don't have any fuel programs that you're a part of, talk to your factoring companies. Maybe they have a fuel card or they have partner fuel cards that you can get in on. That like I'm learning a lot about this stuff, you guys, and there are definite leverage games you can play as a small carrier with some of the other partnerships that you have, and you need to look into that, and you need to do an analysis on your business and see what is available to you. So that being said, joc.com is where that is, and all the links to the articles that I break down, you guys, I upload onto the YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of this, which will be available on iTunes and Spotify almost immediately after the show. Kenneth said, can you recommend a brokerage that's a good place to collaborate, learn, and thrive in this business? I am inspired by this business and ready to get in deeper water. I think it depends, man. What are you looking to do? Are you looking to start your own brokerage? Are you looking to learn the business? What kind of experience do you have in the industry, man? If you don't have a ton of experience in the industry, I think it'd be good to jump on and learn from people for a while first. If your ultimate goal is to start your own business. I think that if you've been doing this for a while and you're looking to start out on your own, that's a good place to collaborate and learn. Look into SPI Logistics, become a freight agent. Bring your, if you have a book of business and everything and you have experience, that's where I would start. But if you're just looking baseline to learn this industry as a whole, you're going to want to, I personally think getting in as a W-2 is a good place to start out there and learn the industry from the ground up, man. And then again, we go live on this show every single weekday, and we always talk about the industry as a whole here. So, all right, next article we are going to break down. ttnews.com. House passes internal combustion engine legislation. Bill is in response to California efforts. I wonder where this article is going to go. Legislation aiming to block efforts designed to prevent the sale of internal combustion engines was recently approved in the U.S. House of Representatives by a vote of 222 to 190. The Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchase Act advanced to the Senate. Sponsored by John Joyce from Pennsylvania, the bill would restrict the EPA from issuing waivers specific to the sale or use of new motor vehicles equipped with traditional engines, including diesel units. Republican sponsors explained the measure would preserve the integrity of consumer choice as well as secure marketplace competition. Central to the bill is responding to California's lawmakers targeting the sale of vehicles with internal combustion engines. This bill would prevent the EPA administrator from granting a waiver to any regulation that would limit the sale or use of new vehicles with internal combustion engines. We cannot expect vehicle manufacturers to build one car in California and another one for Pennsylvania. In areas like my district in central and western Pennsylvania, electric vehicles are unable to perform in the mountainous terrain and lose range in high heat and extreme cold. Representative Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania also backed the bill, saying first it was gas stoves, now it's gas-powered vehicles. California's liberals shouldn't be telling hardworking Pennsylvanians what car or truck they can drive. A version of the bill has been introduced in the Senate. However, the chamber's Democratic leadership has not signaled its committee consideration. We cannot allow California's costly and extreme Green New Deal agenda to eliminate consumer choices for hundreds of millions of American families. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma, a key sponsor, said shortly after the vote on companion legislation, our bill, the Preserving Choice from American Vehicles Act, is an important step in rejecting the far left attempt to control every aspect of American lives. Co-sponsoring the bills are, as you can probably guess, a bunch of Republicans. The White House expressed its opposition to the legislation, noting that the bill would restrict the ability of California and its citizens to address the severe air population challenges. And the ATA is among stakeholders endorsing the bill. They had said ATA believes we must set national, achievable, and realistic targets and timelines along with our way of our shared goals of zero emissions. Okay. I am vehemently against the government telling us what vehicles we can and cannot purchase. I think it's bullshit. It is a gross overstep out there. And I personally think it has nothing to do with the climate. I like this is again, and I say this with confidence because if you've never Google imaged lithium ion battery mine, do that before you come at me. All right. Do that before you come at me. And please tell me how that's better for the environment than what we currently have. But again, I'm not saying I don't want to breathe cleaner air. I think we all do. But what I am against is any governing body saying that I can't buy a fucking diesel truck if I want a diesel truck or a diesel semi. It's bullshit. It has nothing to do with the environment. I think we all know that. But again, do your own research on this, you guys. I think it's a joke, and nobody should tell somebody if they want to buy a diesel semi or not. And they brought up very good points in here. Again, the battery powered vehicles that they're trying to push cannot operate or suboptimally operate in inclement weather conditions. All right. There is a ton of articles out there right now talking about all of this. So again, do your research on this. The position of our government should not be to decide if I can buy a fucking diesel truck or not. I'm a big boy. I can make my own decisions. It's a good article though, you guys, because again, you need to stay on top of this shit, because just because it's happening in one area of the country doesn't mean that it's not going to happen in yours. So look into this and protect your business at all costs, you guys, and pay close attention to this, because it only starts with one. Like they said, first it was gas stoves. Then what? There's no stop. TTnews.com, House passes internal combustion engine legislation, which again should never even be a fucking thing. It should never even be on the docket. Stephen Title says WEX and EFS are good starting fuel card groups, easy to start up. Thank you for putting that out there, Stephen. I appreciate that, man. The third and final article is from FreightWaves, and it's the FMCSA told to make all carrier complaint data public. A government audit has determined that the FMCSA should make its complaint database more transparent to improve usefulness of truck drivers. A report published on Tuesday by the what is this? Just another multi-letter agency, U.S. Government Accountability Office, concluded that the FMCSA does not make all categories of complaint data public, contrary to the Department of Transportation. Specifically, the FMCSA does not make public information on complaints against truck companies, bus companies, or electronic logging device providers. As a result, the FMCSA may be missing the opportunity to improve transparency. The agency hasn't made public the release of information of priority, FMCSA has told the GAO. The FMCSA officials said they have no current plans to make all categories of data public. But they recommend that the FMCSA changes its stance. I mean, trucker outreach lacking. It goes on to say, I'm going to kind of summarize some of this stuff, you guys, because it's a bunch of bureaucratic bullshit. Providing outreach to its target audience is important for the FMCSA to ensure its database remains useful. In fact, representatives from 5 trucking associations interviewed by the GAO were not aware of the FMCSA's outreach to promote its complaint website. These representatives said that they hear from truck drivers about incidents that could be reported to the complaint website, giving an example such as employers coercing drivers to exceed hours of service. Agency pushes back on you. The FMCSA told the GAO that the website has not undergone testing with external users because the feedback agency receives from internal testing is sufficient for its purposes. However, because the FMCSA may be missing opportunities to learn about real-world user needs, the GAO recommended that such testing be conducted. I 100% think that everything reported to the FMCSA should be made public, right? Like, I understand a time period that they need to like review data before releasing it. I can get all of that, but that's the whole fucking point of the government. All this information that is not a threat to national security should be public information. I thought that was kind of the whole point of this. I don't believe that they should withhold anything. I think everything should be out there. I think that the FMCSA's budget is fucking large enough where they can afford to do all of this. So there's no reason why it shouldn't, because they are right. There needs to be a place where drivers and employees and everything should be able to go and see what is being said out there, right? And they, again, make their own decisions for themselves. They shouldn't be able to like withhold any data that's out there. How is that better for the public? How does that keep people safe? That's what I would want the FMCSA to answer. How does withholding information keep more people on the road safe? I think that's a good question to ask. But that article, freightwaves.com, another good one. FMCSA told to make all carrier complaint data public. So that is going to be it for today, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. As always, if you guys got value in what you heard here, subscribe to the show, you guys. That's all I can ask from you at the end of the day, is because if you see value, chances are your network's going to see value in it as well. And if you subscribe and get it out there, that's how we grow. That's how we are number one in the industry, is because of each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.